Hi, everybody. Happy surprise Thursday night podcast. This is
Woo,
actually filming tonight and airing tonight.
woo, woo.
So
How excited.
I'm very excited because I have nothing made for it. It's gonna be a fun night.
The king of lore is here.
Yeah,
Yes,
hell of a time.
exactly. You know what? I did do homework this time. I
Oh
have
yeah.
some notes,
Oh
some,
my God.
not a lot, but some. Um, but I'm so
I
excited to
sent her
have.
your video before this meeting, Gonz.
Yes, you did. But I already knew that this video existed because I had seen it
Sure.
shown up on because my Jenny subscribes to you
Yeah.
on YouTube because Stassi does not because Stassi doesn't
Got
do
it.
anything on YouTube. But like
Got it.
Jen,
Got it.
yeah, you show up on my feed all the time. Actually,
Love that.
you actually show up more than any other simmer on my feed.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Isn't
Thank
that
you.
nice?
Isn't that
Yeah.
nice?
Isn't that nice? But I'm excited to talk to you
Yeah.
guys today, obviously, about like the royal pact that was just
hmm
announced.
hmm
And obviously, everybody and their fucking mother is talking about Princess Cordelia.
Yes,
She's
yes, yes.
trending now in the Sims community. Everybody's like, who is she? Oh, I did a lore video on her already. Come watch my video.
Yeah.
Come watch my blog. So I'm like, I'm going to strike. Well, the iron is a hot.
No,
So.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, a couple of days ago, creators in the EA Creator Network received an email that was meant to be like, "Hey, thank you for everything you did in 2025," and in it. It had a secret message, right? And that secret message basically told us that there was going to be a trailer today. And most importantly, there was a section there that said C was here, right? And myself and other creators quickly pointed out that that was likely Princess Cordelia, right? It all kind of added up. It was like a royal scroll. It was the C. I couldn't think of any other character in the lore that could have been, C or whatever. So we all kind of anticipated that this is what was going to happen, right? Like we were going to get Princess Cordelia returning in this expansion pack, right? So um, I could not. I made like a bingo card to kind of guess what was going to be in this pack,
Mhm.
right? And when I tell you that I predicted like 90% of what was in this pack, I wouldn't be lying to you. Like I nailed it pretty good on the head, right? But it was I feel like I've said this so many times now, but it's funny because we've started these podcasts, Stassi, and
Mhm.
it's almost as if the Sims team has been like, "Oh, Gonz is making lore videos. We should just put so much lore into every expansion pack moving forward, or whatever." Like that's how it feels. That's not what happens, but that's how it feels,
I'm trying
right?
to keep your lights on, Gonz.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right? But
exactly.
but there's gonna be so much lore in this expansion pack. Like you can already tell. So let's do like a quick kind of summary of like what we saw in the trailer and talk about kind of what that means as far as like Princess Cordelia, because she really is kind of the main character of what we're seeing, and we should talk about that, right? The trailer basically tells us about three kingdoms within this one world, and the three kingdoms are based off of the Cap dynasty, the Thebe dynasty, and the
Durong.
Dagon, Durgan. Yes, sorry.
Durong.
Durong. Thank you, and the Durong dynasty, right? So let's talk about the obvious ones, right? So the first one, obviously, the Cap dynasty. This is a return of the Caps from The Sims 2, specifically from the world of Veronaville, right? And what was interesting is that you see a family tree, right? You see a family tree at the beginning and it shows you everything. You see that the elders are deceased, and then you see the king of this land, and he has red hair, like a red goatee, and he has three children. One being identifying male, and the other two identifying as female. That was enough evidence for me to tell that the king of this world is Caliban Cap, again from the Sims 2, and then his three children, which was Juliet, Tybalt, and
Hermia.
Hermia Cap, right? Um, Now we see that they're in like this kind of like British-esque standard kind of, grassland sort of kingdom. Um, and throughout the actual trailer, we don't see any direct reference to the Montes, which again, the Cap and Montes, which is supposed to be like the Montagues and the Capulets from Romeo and Juliet. We don't see any explicit mention of the Montes, but we do see some evidence to indicate that there you might have Mercutio and Romeo Monte in the trailer as well. Just based on like physical attributes and who they're playing with. Like you have this like really cute scene where you see Juliet Cap fighting with a young man, and the young man looks kind of like, oh, like settle down or whatever, and you can kind of guess that that might be Romeo in the story, right? Um, from there, you then have the Thebe family. Now, the Thebe family actually showed a whole family tree, but we don't know any of that because the story never tells us anything about Princess Cordelia's mother or grandmother or grandfather. So we don't know any of that, right? But we do know Princess Cordelia, and in this trailer, she seems to be betrothed, either married or engaged or whatever the case is. She has a partner. It's a young man. He looks like a regular prince, which was confusing because as you all know, Princess Cordelia is famously only attracted to pirates, right? And the expansion pack trailer does kind of hint at that because there is a moment in which you see Princess Cordelia sneak up to this pirate woman who, they have woohoo in a little clock or whatever, and it starts this scandal because oh no, Princess Cordelia is cheating or whatever, right? Which again is interesting because we've always called it Princess Cordelia and her 4 pirate boyfriends, but now we just have to say her 5 pirate partners, right? Because now there's a girlfriend in the mix, right? So that's really fun. And
unless I know you don't like this theory.
sure.
What if this is not the actual Cordelia and it is a descendant of Cordelia who is also named Cordelia?
So it's not a bad theory. It's not a bad theory. And there's definitely some possibility there that that's the case. Throughout the trailer, if you pay attention, there you do see a portrait of Cordelia in a pirate outfit. You see Cordelia's bust, like her not her boobs, her her statue, right? Which I guess you do see her boobs in a couple of times there, but that's fine. But
She's rolling on dubs.
but so there might be an argument that either this Cordelia, who looks very young, is already an accomplished, seafarer, or she is the daughter of Cordelia, right? Now that's not impossible. That's definitely something worth talking about, right? But moving on for Cordelia for just a split second, you then have the what dynasty? I keep forgetting their name.
Durang or Durong?
Durong, yeah, Durong dynasty, right? So this is a dynasty that I at first thought it was something brand new. Like I thought they had just made it up. It's an African themed world or kingdom or neighborhood, and all these brand new characters. And it was actually Court who messaged me and told me that the Durongs are actually in The Sims 2. And after looking it up, I was able to confirm that Delilah Dreamer, who is Darren Dreamer's mother, actually is a Durong. Like her family, Lena and Seth Durong, exist in The Sims 2. So this entire expansion pack is based around families that were part of The Sims 2. So it's very much a Sims 2 heavy expansion pack, right? So obviously the big news about Princess Cordelia and kind of her antics and what this means, like what we're going to see in the expansion pack, I think merits a conversation about kind of her history and what we know about her sort of moving forward. So I think that's probably a good place for us to go next, which is to talk about the history of Cordelia, right? What do you think?
I think that's perfect.
I agree. I would like to kind of connect the two, though, for the trailer. So for the trailer, and we're going to be going right into The Sims 2, which is our first ever time really meeting Cordelia. So in the trailer that just released, there's the Cap family. We think that it's Caliban with his 3 children, Juliet being the oldest, Tybalt being the one that was causing all of the drama in the trailer, and then Hermia looking like the youngest one. In The Sims 2, when we meet Cordelia, she's a ghost. I'll let Gonz go into that, but she's actually supposed to be the mother of Juliet, Tybalt, and Hermia, which, if your theory is correct, that begs the question, was she the biological mother, or was she the anyway, we can get into that conversation later. It just feels like it.
I agree with you. So let's talk about that. So, obviously the first time we hear the name Cordelia is in The Sims 2, right? And in The Sims 2, which actually that's not true. We actually hear about him in The Sim City, but going back to it. So in The Sims 2, we meet Caliban's wife, right? Which is Cordelia Cap, right? Cordelia is just this blonde character in the Sims 2, who nothing too special about her necessarily, but a lot of people have been confused because we saw Cordelia then brought into The Sims 4 as Cordelia Thebe, right?
Yes. So just to interject,
sure.
Cordelia in The Sims 2 is actually depicted as a ghost. So because it's actually Consort, who is her father in The Sims 2, who is looking after
he's
the
Caliban Gale. Right, he's Caliban Gale. Yes.
Caliban is the father. Caliban and Cordelia died in a fire set by the Montes. And as a result of them passing away, Consort is the grandfather looking after the 3 children.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. However, I spent a lot of time in my videos trying to put together that this Cordelia Cap is the same person as Cordelia Thebe, right? But at the end of the day, I think that, especially given this new information about Cordelia that we've received, for the purposes of this conversation, I think we need to accept that they are 2 different people moving forward. I think that Cordelia Cap was named Cordelia because Cordelia was actually a character in Shakespeare's one of his plays. I'm spacing the actual name of the play, but Cordelia was a character in that, right? And I think that that's why she was named Cordelia. And I think that the Cordelia we meet in The Sims 4, now, given everything we've learned about the timeless, King Lear, thank you, yes. Given everything that we've learned here, I think Cordelia Thebe is an entirely different person. I know I had a whole timeline of them being the same, but I don't think they are. So let me explain why. So, when we get to The Sims 4, this is where we start learning a lot about what Cordelia was all about. So we learn that there was a land, right, which we presume to be called Thebe, that existed sometime in the past, right? And there was a royal house called Thebe that ruled over it. Now, we don't necessarily know the name of the king or the queen or anything like that. We know that there was Cordelia Thebe. That's all we knew, right? She was a very interesting princess because despite the fact that she was a princess and a very learned individual, she had a love of pirates and lingerie. Fucking loved it.
And jazz. And jazz.
Yeah.
And jazz.
She liked jazz.
She
liked jazz, art, lingerie, sea life,
making furniture,
pirates, making furniture. Yes. All around just badass of a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, she loved jazz so much that she actually had her own little jazz band that she basically took around with her to like just play whenever she wanted, right? And she loved making furniture so much that she actually constructed a movable subnautic workshop called the Epsilon, which was basically this massive submarine that allowed her to basically build furniture while she was, roaming the world or whatever, right? In the process of her travels, she met and let go of many different boyfriends in her life, right? I believe the first one, and Court, keep me honest because I haven't watched my video in a while. It was Long John Buttercups, right?
Long John is the first one.
Yeah, Long John Buttercups was the first one. Now, there is some debate on the timeline of how this works, but I'm going to give you how I see it, right? She starts dating the pirate called Long John Buttercups, right? And Long John, he smells and stuff for some reason, like he's very stinky, right? So Cordelia builds all of these things into the Epsilon in order to like not make him smell so bad, because like she loves pirates and she loves him, but like can't stand her smell or whatever. And her and like his pirate crew basically roam the world in the Epsilon, kind of getting on adventures, right? But it's actually during this time that Thebe gets attacked by a army of sloths, right? Now, that's exactly as crazy as it sounds. Basically, an invasion of great sloths attack Thebe and burn Thebe to the ground, right? So Cordelia, having this ship made and ready to go, basically says, it's okay, guys, we can all go on my ship. But unfortunately, because she has so many pirates and so many people, she can't take everybody, right? So she can only take a certain amount of people. So she has to get rid of her.
There's only 48 bedrooms in
there's
48 bedrooms.
48 bedrooms, exactly. So she has to get rid of her jazz band, unfortunately. They have to stay and die, right?
They didn't make the cut.
Exactly. Presumably her family also dies. And her butler and her maid, she lets go as well, right? So they go off on the ship.
Also, wait 1 second though. We need to say she told the butler that she wasn't going to bring him because he wouldn't be happy there, but she was taking him there to die. So it's like, I would rather be alive on a submarine.
No, exactly right. So yeah.
So she's low-key horrible.
She is pretty bad. And it gets worse too, because again, all of this before the attack on Thebe, there's actually an item that's released in Cottage Living that reveals that Cordelia gets tired of walking because she used to have a stair carrier. She used to have a servant whose whole deal was to carry her up and down stairs so that she wouldn't have to, right? So she's low-key kind of the worst.
Stairs are actually called peasant stairs.
They're called peasant stairs. Oh my god. But anyway, so she goes off and she's like touring the world and she's making money kind of selling her furniture on the Epsilon. But eventually, basically, she ends up breaking up with Long John Buttercups, right? It doesn't work out. She goes away, right? And she eventually meets Chas McFreeling. Now, Chas McFreeling is also a pirate, and supposedly he's like super attractive, but he's also really, really vain. Like, he's so vain that all he does is stare at his reflection in a mirror nonstop, right? He has Cordelia produce like mirrors and like ships based on his ship because he's so vain and loves all his things or whatever. And eventually Cordelia just can't stand it, and so she kicks him out as well, right? So he goes away as well too, right? Now, she finally meets Rodrigo de Pablo, right, which is the third pirate boyfriend. And he's sweet, but he's just super accident prone, right? Like, she meets him intact at the very beginning, but throughout their adventures, he loses more and more body parts as time goes along, right? Like, he gets attacked by a kraken and like basically like trips over a hatch and loses his foot. So Cordelia has to give him a peg leg. He accidentally almost sets himself on fire. A lot of bad things happen to this man, right? Like, he's
it
just
was
not
really fun recreating this in The Sims, by the way.
No, I imagine, right? However, it is at this time when Rodrigo de Pablo and Cordelia make their way to the island of Thebe. Not Thebe, Tartosa. What am I talking about?
Tartosa.
The island of Tartosa, right? And when she arrives on Tartosa, she basically becomes friends with the reigning monarch of that, or I guess monarch wouldn't be right. I don't know she's like the lord of,
yeah, she's the lady. Lady Tartosa.
Lady Tartosa basically welcomes them in. She welcomes the pirates, and Cordelia becomes kind of like a prominent member of society within Tartosa, right? And it's there where rumors start coming out that Lady Tartosa actually develops a feelings for Cordelia, right? And we learned about this in My Wedding Stories, which is where Tartosa came out, and it was never clear whether Cordelia was queer herself or if Lady Tartosa had unrequited feelings for her, right? The story kind of edges to unrequited, that like Lady Tartosa thought more of his friends and Cordelia didn't feel that way, right? But again, going back to the trailer, we now have confirmation that Cordelia is indeed queer, right? There's evidence in the trailer that she likes her betrothed, right? Like you see her like looking at him lovingly and everything like that. But then she also is interested in the pirate Fia Acosta. So yeah, she's very clearly bi or pansexual or whatever variant of queerness that you can think of, right? So eventually, Cordelia and Robert, they decide like, they're gonna like move on and like continue traveling in the world. But that's actually where things get a little muddy, because it's around this time as well that Rodrigo dies, right? Like he passes away, right? Now, it is unclear when and how he dies, because there are some accounts in items that says that his peg leg lit on fire and he died in a fire, right? There are other claims that Rodrigo was killed by Cordelia, stuffed in a bottle by a witch, and like thrown out into the ocean.
Okay.
Right?
I actually have a question for this.
Yeah.
I wrote this down. What do you think it was? Witchcraft or fire? Because that was my number one question. Witchcraft or fire?
Got it. Yeah, that's a good question. I think that Cordelia wouldn't have done something like that. Okay. I feel like it was an accident, and then the rumor was that that's what she did. Okay. Is my opinion. Fair. What do you think, Court?
I think Lady Tartosa did it.
That's fair. And that actually works. If Tartosa, like, if she kind of like had that jealousy and did that to him, that tracks, right? But anyway, from that point, right, Cordelia goes off and, she travels go ahead.
It's at this point that we find out through My Wedding Stories that Cordelia has a son named Rodrigo Thebe.
Okay, you see, you're right, but you're off the timeline a little bit. Let me explain to you why you're wrong.
No, I'm not.
Let me explain to you why you're wrong. So,
Mom and Dad, stop fighting.
we don't learn about Rodrigo up until he's a young adult, right? So as far as the timeline is concerned, we assume that Cordelia gets pregnant, has a child, and has adventures with her son, right? And I believe that it's at this time that she visits places like Tomarang and Henford on Bagley, right? With her son kind of having these adventures. Because again, there's evidence that she was in Henford on Bagley. Of course, we know that Cordelia's secret cottage is there. We also have evidence that she visited Tomarang, because in Tomarang, there is mention of a fourth boyfriend, right? And we don't really know who he is, but the evidence seems to suggest that it is Blackbeard the pirate from The Sims Castaway, right? That's kind of like the belief that's who it is, right? But eventually, years later, Robert returns, right? Robert Thebe returns to Tartosa and claims that he is Cordelia's son, right? People believe him because not only does he claim it with like titles and stuff, but he also comes with a bunch of pirate gold, right? And he goes and he establishes his presence once again in Tartosa. He goes on to have children, which eventually leads to having a child called Arnessa Thebe, who is present in My Wedding Stories. And then Arnessa Thebe has a son who eventually also gets married, and they have children who all have purple eyes as well.
Yeah.
Or you were gonna say something? Hector.
Yeah. So, when we were doing the gameplay for my wedding stories, Arnessa makes a comment about how she has an uncle named Etienne. Etienne. Sorry. Etienne. Sorry.
Etienne. Yeah.
My Canadian ass can't pronounce anything. And then and her aunt Queenie as well. And so based on that, you might be up to something with the Cordelia's being two different people, because Arnessa saying that Etienne and Queen are her uncle and aunt. That wouldn't make sense, because he should be the great grandfather of Goneril, Regan, Kent, and then Cordelia, which also matches the King Lear children.
Exactly right. Yeah. So going back to that's a great point. So the Thebes actually existed within The Sims 2, right? So again, Etienne and Queenie, right, or Queen, are the names of the kings within King Lear, I think, right? Is the same story, right? Yeah. Because Thebe is a fictional Greek land in Lear, right? I don't think Thebe is an actual place. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a real place. And again, they have a child. Etienne and Queen have a child called
Andromache.
Andromache, yes, right. And it's presumed based on what we knew before that this was a relation, but the relation didn't make sense. And even in my video, I say that something's weird, like either Arnessa misremembers or something like that, right? Because the timelines don't add up, right? So this is further evidence as to why I think that Cordelia Cap and Cordelia Thebe are two different people in this world, right? Is what I think ultimately, right? Now that we have this new information,
wouldn't make sense, because in the trailer, when you see Cordelia's legacy, she doesn't have any siblings.
Exactly, it's just her, right? So I think that's the fair kind of result of that, right? So yeah, going back to Cordelia, right? We know so much about her because of the stories that were being added to the base game and other expansions that came out, right? And in this trailer, we see so many different things that point to her continued story, right? So like, we know that she loves the ocean, right? And we see that her kingdom, right? Which, by the way, to be clear, and Court, you might have this on hand, the dynasty of Thebe is not the name of the neighborhood. The neighborhood is like something completely different, right? Which, unfortunately, I don't have the names in front of me, but like, the family is called Thebe. It's not the land of Thebe, right? Which is what we used to think. We used to think that it was the land, but it's not. It's just like the family that rules over that area, right?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is that if we take what we know, right, which is that Cordelia
is Verdamar, I think.
Verdamar.
It's Verdamar. There we go.
Verdamar. Perfect. Okay, which is interesting because that basically means green ocean. But okay, so
oh, cool.
So we know by the time of my wedding stories that Princess Cordelia is long dead, right? Like that's what we know in my wedding stories. Cordelia's dead. Arnessa is like the great granddaughter of Cordelia, because she mentions that she once saw her great grandmother Cordelia or something like that, right? So the fact that Cordelia is present in this expansion pack finally confirms my many worlds theory of The Sims 2. The Sims 4, and that this pack takes place in the past. It absolutely takes place in the past. Now, you guys are going to be sitting there listening to me, and you're going to be saying,
still at a time where cell phones exist.
Exactly. But the people in the comments are going to be like, oh, but they have cell phones, or oh, I saw Bob Pancakes in the trailer, and I'm like, okay, the trailer is meant to be like funny, and you're just like Nard's in the trailer. That doesn't mean that Nard is canonically in in the game. All right, let's just be totally
it does.
Yes, it does.
Let's just be totally clear, right? No, but like for real though, right? For real. The trailers, the marketing, all of that is just meant to push the game, and obviously seeing familiar faces is a way to do that. And Bob Pancakes, I think, has been in almost every single trailer since the beginning. Like, I think that's like the thing. Like, him and the Goths are like present since all of them, right? So it's clear. Exactly, the Pancake Cell. So it's very clear to me that this new world, Andarian, I believe is what it's called, takes place at the time slightly before The Sims 2. That is my belief. That's when it takes place in the timeline of what we're doing, right? So, as I mentioned, right, my belief is that we're meeting a Cordelia, right, who has had some of her adventures, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think the Great Sloth Invasion has happened yet. I think we are right before the Sloth Invasion is what I think we're going to see, right? I think that we are going to see the invasion as part of the story. Like, there's probably going to be sloths as like a collection or items or something like that. And the reason why I think that, and I'm going to show you guys real quick. Now, you guys aren't going to be able to see it on the podcast, but I'm going to show it to you two here real quick. Thanks to good friend Jeremy Gone Wild, by the way, for this one, right? He posted this. This is the picture of Thebe, the painting of Thebe that was in the game. Yeah. And the top is the picture of the expansion. It's the same exact place, right? Okay. So it is. God, yes. So cool. So it is quite literally the exact place. So we are in where she leaves eventually after the sloth invasion, right? So that's where we are in the timeline of things, right? Now, that means that she either has already met or has broken up with Long John Buttercups. Maybe she hasn't met him yet. Maybe this is like her first foray into pirates, right? Or maybe, which I don't think
portrait of her.
Yes, but she's always been into pirates. Just because that was the first one she dated officially doesn't mean that she wasn't living that life either, right?
Yeah.
Respect. Now, there. I have seen some comments about this, which I don't think is the case, that the guy that we see her with is Long John Buttercups. Maybe Long John Buttercups became all fancy and stuff. I don't think it is, but we don't have a name for this man, right? So we don't know for sure, right? But yeah, so to kind of set the stage of like what we're looking at, right? I think we've met a Cordelia who, you know, loves the ocean, loves her you know, furniture making. She loves all the stuff we know about her, but she hasn't yet fled her homeland, right? So I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to learn about what were the circumstances for her leaving this world, right? Which is interesting because this will be the first, if we're right, this will be the first world in The Sims 4 that we know is doomed. Like, there's no future for it. Like, we know how it ends, right? Which I think is kind of sad, but also really kind of interesting, right? In that kind of thing, right? Further proof of the timeline, by the way, going back, is the fact that we don't know the African themed kingdom. Like, we don't know kind of a lot about it, but the fact that we do believe that it's related to the Dreamers, right? If the main like queen, she wears like yellow, really beautiful or whatever. If she is Delilah Dreamer, which is Darren Dreamer's mother, right? The question I have is she a young adult? Does she have a child already? Is she going to meet her future husband? Or is this a completely different character, right? Because that's really going to cement us as to where we are in the story, right?
To add to that, like if we did play into what has happened within The Sims 2 as well, that whole area could have been taken over because it would explain why the Caps end up in Veronaville as well as Cordelia if they
And the
are the same
Dreamers.
people.
Yeah.
And then why the Dreamers end up in Pleasantview.
Yeah, exactly. Like that so that's the interesting thing. And then again, we ask ourselves why would they were so stinking rich, right? It was because they were nobility in Ondarian, right? So
I bet the land grabs did
it. So my theory is that Cordelia is, she's living her best life. She's having fun doing her thing, but eventually the sloth invasion takes over all of Ondarian, and all of them flee, right? They all flee, they get away, right? The Caps flee to establish Veronaville along with the Montes, which starts their feud. And then Cordelia goes off and does her thing. The Thebes go to Veronaville, which is where you see them, like maybe other Thebes or something like that. And then the Dreamers go to Pleasantview, right? So that makes the most sense to me as to where the story could go, right?
I would love if Caliban and Cordelia in this game have like no romance, but are like best friends, and they have this like so she leaves and whatever, but then it's implied that eventually they get married and that she's the stepmom of the three kids.
If they're brave enough to say that Cordelia, might have had a fling with Caliban, because Caliban in this, I mean, we don't know their ages, right? Caliban looks like an adult. He doesn't look like an old man. He looks like an adult, right? And Tybalt, who is like the not the heir. Juliet is the heir, right? That's the whole. So going back to the Caps for a moment, the whole story of the Caps is that Caliban Cap is the current king of the dynasty, right? Of the land, and the heir apparent was Tybalt, the blonde, sexy guy, right? And he, for whatever reason, maybe because he's not the right choice or whatever, Caliban instead chose Juliet, and Juliet's very posh, very prim, very proper, all that, right? And Tybalt, he resents that, right? And that's kind of his story, is that he wishes he was the heir, where Juliet is going to be the heir apparent. So how old is Cordelia? Like, is Cordelia an adult and she just happens to look young, or is she a young, like, is she the same age? Like, are the three of them the same age? Are Delilah, Tybalt, and Cordelia the same age? That's a question I have.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because if Cordelia,
I think you have Tybalt. I would guess that the three within the Caps are teenagers, and then I'm going to guess Cordelia is a young adult, and then I'm going to guess that Caliban is an adult.
Got it. Yeah. So, like, again, it would be interesting if they made some kind of reference to maybe Caliban and Cordelia had a fling, or maybe they knew each other since school or something like that. That if we get no evidence of that, then we have to accept that they're two different people, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to accept they're two different
people. Who built Brightchester?
Exactly. No, exactly, right? Yeah, I totally spaced the fact that Cordelia built Brightchester. My God, that was such a random thing. But yeah, that's
so many random things. There's like 500. Is there like 50 or 100 pieces of furniture in total that we had to?
I think it was about 87 total that we had to look through.
Oh my God!
Correctly. Yeah, it was
a whole warehouse.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was really bad. But yeah, so again, there's a lot of interesting questions here. Again, I think we've covered the basics of what you need to know, which is Cordelia was a very kind of, very much like the Merida of the Sims universe, like Merida from Brave, like very much her own woman kind of deal. And she loved, pirates. She loved being in the sea. She fled her homeland. She could not keep a partner to save her life. Eventually had a child, and her legend lived on. That's her basic story,
I just
right?
want to point out that the way you worded that was wrong. She left all of them.
Yeah, she did.
So
She
she
did.
don't
She
need.
did. No, that's absolutely right, right? So yeah, the interesting part, I guess, right, is, you know, what what are we going to learn about Cordelia's life, and what does that mean for like the story in this world, right? I say this because I want to be clear. These trailers are never enough for you to know the real story that's behind. And let me explain why.
Yeah.
If you were to watch the Life and Death trailer, right, you would see a story about, you know, oh, it's about the Grimm, or it's about this and that, when in reality, the story of Ravenwood is that a magical goat who had the ability to talk led some random nomads to establish a town, and it turns out that that magical goat might have gotten its powers from a meteor that fell in the ground that glowed, that no one ever really talks about. Like that's kind of what I mean. Like what I just said, no one ever talks about, but that's like the lore of Ravenwood. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with like the Grim Reaper. It has nothing to do with all of that. Lady Ravendancer Goth, of course, being a big part of it that we never talk about. But you never saw any of that in the trailer, right? So the question is that just because we didn't see it in the trailer, does that mean that the lore of the world that we're going to be introduced to, is it going to be about the sloths? Is it going to be about some greater, you know, threat? Is it, you know, are they going to vie for power internally, or are they going to be against one another? Like those are the kind of the questions that I have.
I thought based on the note that you got on Friday, the three, what is it, like the coat of arms, or the what,
yes.
Like a family crest?
Yeah, the crest. Yes.
The arrows that pointed at the others, it made me think that was revealing what family hates what family.
I think you're right. And what's interesting is that if I remember it correctly, the Thebe family was pointing at the Cap family. The Cap family was pointing at I keep forgetting the name.
Durang
family. And then the Durang family is pointing to the Thebe family, right? So
yeah, I think so.
That's the order of it, right? So we're gonna see, right? But the reality is that we need to know where the story takes place. We have a guess, right? We have a guess that it's going to be before her exploits. But just like Court said, there is a possibility, although it would be kind of a cop-out, that this is Cordelia Thebe II. It's possible. It's possible that it's Cordelia Thebe II, but I think that would be a really disappointing turn for them to take.
Agreed.
And I think so. I think that this is the original Cordelia, and I really hope that her nighttime is lingerie, like her nighttime outfit is lingerie. And if it's not, I'm gonna just raise all kinds of hell, like all kinds of hell if it's not, like, because that's her whole thing. You know what I mean? Like she loves Long. In fact, I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the reasons why she dumps Long John Buttercups is because he can't help but always talk about her lingerie. He was like constantly talking about it, and that like really bothered her. She was like, "Let me live." So yeah.
Amazing.
What a note to end on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've learned
Cordelia likes lingerie.
Exactly.
Well, I've learned so much about Cordelia. Thank you so much for sharing.
This
all
podcast
the lore.
is not sponsored by me.
Oh, good.
But I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this expansion pack. I know I say that all the time, but like I legit am very, very excited. Honestly, the build by from what I saw looks really, really good. The most basic
curved stairs.
the most basic bitch answer is, we are finally getting tiaras and crowns. Sorry, I just saw that. I was like, that's all I needed to know. Everything else was fantastic.
Right.
And the lore is there, and it's cute. It's great, but like crowns.
Oh, yeah, you know, the dresses look so good.
The dresses do look so good.
So I do have a little bit of a complaint that I think would be a good thing to talk about. So when this was announced, I theorized that this was going to be like medieval themed, like it was going to be high fantasy, right? Now I speculated dragons. I thought that would be cool, but I understood that that was a long shot, right? But I was disappointed that this is more Bridgerton than Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot more scandal, a lot more like, just like that.
Just in time for the next season to drop too. Like they totally on purpose. They align with each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like, right? Which was like, yeah, you see that it's like ancient, but it's like ancient in the present time, right? Which I appreciate. It's beautiful. It's still beautiful, but it's not the fantasy world that I had hoped for that we were gonna get. You know
I do like the idea of them having like the legacies back, though.
Yes.
I also like the idea of having some form of court. It would be fun if you see like a land grab that is a lord for maybe the Thebe family or the Cap family. I could also see maybe the Montes being the lords for the Durong or family. And that creates the drama within the Cap versus the Montes, because the Montes are not part of that area, maybe, which would explain why they wouldn't want Juliet with them.
I think you're right about that. We'll just have to we'll have to wait and see. I'm really excited.
Your bingo card was so good. I could not get over how much you got right.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is such an interesting kind of like situation, and I'm excited to see what we're gonna get with this, because again, all we got was like a teaser. We didn't get like what the gameplay is like, how it's gonna feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the website that came out with like the trailers gave us a little bit more information about like what we were gonna be seeing. So like I'm really interested about the nobility system, right? What that actually is gonna look like. I speculated that there was going to be a legacy, which isn't a hard thing to guess, right? That there is going to be like a legacy system, and the trailer kind of shows us what that looks like, which is like the legacy. Like, for example, if the dynasty is like, in order to be part of like the legacy, you need to be artistic and virtuous or something, right? Which means you have to level up your artistic skill to like accomplish being the heir or something like that, right? So every generation needs to be artistic in order to like achieve it or something like that, right? So I'm really kind of stoked to see all of that and how it plays out, because I'm really interested how it's going to be. So I think I just want to make sure I'm clear. Like I want everyone to hear me what I'm saying. I am excited about the story. I have no idea how it's going to play. And I have no idea, and I'm not casting any kind of comments about how fun it'll be or how monetarily worthwhile it will be, because obviously we can't know that yet. I'm just stoked about the potential ramifications to the lore that we're going to be getting. So, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good place to cap us off. Thank you, Gonz and Court, for coming here today. And, we get to talk more about the trailer and more about Princess Cordelia. I hope you're right. The only I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did think it was gonna be more Game of Thrones than Bridgerton. I was really more expecting that. Yeah. But beggars can't be choosers, and I'm excited.
I think I mean, I think we know that the Sims 4 team isn't really known for taking chances, right? I mean, that's fair, right? That's totally fair, right?
That was Sims 3 people.
Exactly. and I think that they realize, like, how are we going to make it medieval? And then people have phones, right? Yeah. Like, I understand that, right? Now, that doesn't mean that they couldn't have done a whole, like, you're just kind of like, visiting the old ruins and stuff like that. And I get it. Like, I understand, right? It gives me hope that they're still working on like a Sims medieval remake or like a remaster or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, we just have to wait and see. It's a fun direction. we'll see how it plays and how it
Speaking of Sims Medieval, Gonz plays that sometimes on his Twitch.
I do. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, I play it sometimes. It's a lot of fun.
Gonz, come plug. Where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me everywhere at My Name is Gonz, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch, of which I am now an official partner, a Twitch partner. Look at me go. Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, you can find me over there.
Amazing.
And you can find me watching him.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for coming here today. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. Everybody listening to this, I hope you have a great Thursday night or Friday morning, whenever you're listening to this. I don't really have anything I really want to plug. Besides, I hope you have a great day, and we'll chat with everybody really soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.